This episode of the Ageless and Awesome podcast is sponsored by the Radiant Reset Hormone Detox Guide for Perimenopausal Women. As a woman in the modern world, our hormones are taking a battering. They're impacted by the food we eat, the toxins we're exposed to, such as when we eat out of plastic takeaway containers, or even worse, reheat food in them. Please don't do this. If you're handling FPOS receipts, filling the car with fuel, eating non-organic produce that hasn't been washed effectively, plus so much more things add to our toxic load every day. Even though our bodies are designed to effectively manage toxins, they haven't evolved as quickly as our toxic world has, unfortunately. So our body does need support. Symptoms such as stubborn weight gain, fatigue, disrupted periods, irritability, and gut health issues can be a sign that you'd benefit from a gentle detox. And that's why I developed the Radiant Reset Hormone Detox Guide for Perimenopausal Women. This free guide has an abundance of information to get you started on your very own DIY detox. And if you'd like to upgrade to VIP, it's only $47 for a limited time. I used to sell this program for $247. The upgrade gives you the recipes, including plenty of plant-based options, the meal planner, the shopping list template, the video workshop, and so much more. Click the link in the show notes to learn more now. Take care of your hormones. They are a critical part of your health as a woman. Hi, I'm Susie Garden, and this is the Ageless and Awesome podcast. I'm an age-defying naturopath and clinical nutritionist, and I'm here to bust myths around women's health and aging so that you can be ageless and awesome in your 40s, 50s, and beyond. The Ageless and Awesome podcast is dedicated to helping women through perimenopause and menopause with great health, a positive mindset, and outrageous confidence. Hit subscribe or follow now, and let's get started. Hello, gorgeous one, and welcome to this week's episode of the Ageless and Awesome podcast. This week, I want to talk about the effect of perimenopause or menopause on our hearts. This is not something that's talked about a lot, and when I was having a look at information on this, I reckon it's because there's really just not a lot of research on it, because I looked at several sources that I usually find are pretty reliable, and I found a lot of really conflicting information. So I found that really interesting. But the specific thing I wanted to talk about was heart palpitations. And that's the main thing I was finding. There's just, really opposing viewpoints on what causes this in women in perimenopause and menopause. And I suspect it's because there's no research. So the main kind of very vague language that was used was, hormone fluctuations may cause this, which to me seems pretty poor form, actually, because heart palpitations, I don't know if you've ever had one, but I've had them on and off throughout my life, and my mum has really severe atrial fibrillation, and one of the symptoms of that is that palpitation sensation. Now, I've just realized I should probably define what that is. So palpitations, if you're not quite sure, refers to a sensation that we get in the body that happens when the heart is beating quite rapidly. And if you've ever had this happen, it can be a little bit scary because, you only have one heart and you kind of really need it. And if it's not working properly, it's a problem. And generally, heart palpitations are only going to last for a very short period of time. And that might be from a matter of seconds to maybe just a few minutes. Now, if it's happening for longer than that, it probably should be investigated. The problem is often when they're doing the investigations, you actually need to experience the palpitations in order for them to be picked up on any of the monitoring equipment. And generally speaking, you know what it's like. If you're going to get something tested, of course, the thing that you want to have happen is not going to happen. But regardless, you really should get it tested if you experience this and you don't know why. There can be a number of different causes of heart palpitations. So it's not just perimenopause or menopause, which is why I think there is a lack, I guess, of consensus on what causes this. And there's a lack of research, again, because it's just so... we're women, so they don't like doing it. But it's one of these things where people, it's not life-threatening, for most people. So they generally don't worry about necessarily researching it because it's just a natural part of our life cycle and it's kind of a known thing. So it can be an irregular heartbeat, or it can be a real sensation in your body of, oh, my heart's beating really, really fast. Now, there's a few things that happen, and I think one of the things that they think is partly due to estrogen is the fact that many women, when they're having hot flushes, will get a sense of palpitations at the beginning of that hot flush. So there's a thought that perhaps there is this surge in estrogen that may cause it. Then other things I've read said it's because of the decline in estrogen that can affect the pathways in the heart that the electrical impulses travel through. I've read other things that said that taking progesterone, and that's like a hormone therapy, progesterone, can help with heart palpitations. But again, there doesn't seem to be a lot of research on it. So I guess I thought I'd just talk a little bit about what potentially you can do to help avoid them, and some of the other causes of heart palpitations that might be present as well. Because one of the big things with heart palpitations is anxiety. Anxiety can absolutely bring on heart palpitations, or racing heart, and high degrees of stress. And obviously, life for most of us is pretty stressful, particularly when you hit your 40s and 50s. There's a lot going on. So if you don't have like a mindfulness practice or some sort of stress management, which can be anything really that brings you joy, then it's probably a good idea to bring that in to help prevent the heart palpitations from happening. With many of our stress management techniques, doing it when you're in that stressful event sometimes just isn't practical. So doing it, having a daily practice, really trains your body to respond in a way that's going to help you rather than make you feel worse. So even if you're just doing a practice for 5 or 10 minutes, and that practice may simply be observing your breath entering and leaving your body, anything like that will help. Or it could be doing something fun that you really enjoy doing. Stress management is key. Potentially coffee. Coffee is known to make the heart race. So if you have a lot of coffee, it might be worth dialing that back. Also alcohol. I hate it when I talk about alcohol. Often I'll get a lot of feedback that we don't want to stop our drinking, but for many women, alcohol can set off heart palpitations, and it's not nice. That is one thing for me. If I have a few drinks, I will almost certainly get heart palpitations, and it's usually a few hours later when I'm in bed, and it'll keep me awake, and it's horrible. So, I'm very, very careful with my alcohol intake these days, because one of the side effects for me is racing heart, and it doesn't feel nice. And even though I know what it is, it still makes... There's a sense of fear that comes when you have that heart palpitation going on. Also, things like smoking or nicotine intake in whatever form it is can cause heart palpitations. Some stimulant drugs, like some of the recreational drugs, they can increase the heart rate. Some decongestant medications such as pseudoephedrine, phenylephrine, they're really common. The pseudoephedrine in Australia you can't really get easily anymore, but the phenylephrine is the replacement in many of the decongestant tablets. So that can cause heart palpitations. Diet pills can cause heart palpitations. Fever. Well, I mean, you're going to know if you have a fever. But also, it can be something like an abnormal heart rhythm caused by heart disease, or a heart valve issue, or if your potassium isn't at the right levels, or if you have an overactive thyroid. Some medications, like ones that treat asthma and high blood pressure. So there's a few things that are going on. It complicates things because often we're at that age in your 40s and 50s where maybe you have high blood pressure and you don't know, or you're popped on a antihypertensive for your blood pressure and you don't realize that's going to give you heart palpitations. So there's a lot of things that can cause it. I guess I just wanted to highlight that it can be something that crops up in perimenopause and menopause due to the hormonal fluctuations. But I guess my take-home message is that if you experience this and it's something that's lasting more than just a few seconds or a minute, you probably should have a chat to your GP about it. They may just say, don't worry about it. They may say, let's see if it happens again. But particularly if you do have a history, like I do, a family history of heart arrhythmias, it's really important to get it checked out so that you can rule out and intervene if needed, any sort of arrhythmia condition that's going on in the heart. So I hope that's helpful. If you have experienced this, I'd love to know. Just give me a little message on @SusieGardenWellness on Instagram, or you can send me a email, hello@susiegarden.com. Thanks so much for joining me today on the Ageless and Awesome podcast. If you liked today's episode, please make sure you click the little plus button if you're on Apple Podcasts, or the follow button if you're on Spotify, so that you get each new episode delivered to you every week. If you like free stuff, then head to the show notes and click the link to receive my free Radiant Reset Hormone Detox Guide for perimenopausal women. Or if you'd like to continue the discussion, head over to Instagram and DM me @SusieGardenWellness. I'd love to connect with you.